How do you feel that pre-season's went so far?
I think it has went well. You know, it's always difficult because you're taking over basically a new regime. So because it was quite far on, and you know, even to get the calibre of teams in, I just thought it was better that we get games organised where we would get 11 to 13 players playing in a couple of games. But I certainly have been pleased with the commitment of the majority of the lads, the effort within games. I thought for a large part of Tuesday night, you know, against Harn and Wolf, I thought a lot of what we have worked on within the ethos came together, and you know, I was really pleased with that. But the competitive stuff starts, you know, next week, Saturday week, so that's where it really begins.
Obviously, we've seen you use a few different formations towards the end of last year in pre-season as well. Is that a trend we want to see continue, or do you want to get one formation down and sort of stick with that? It works.
No, I mean, I've often said this. You know, players make systems don't make players. You know, so I don't mind changing the system, but the players, it needs to work for the players as well. There will be times in games that if something's not working, you have to try something else. You know, so I have no issue with doing that. I mean, at the very last game of last season, we played 3-5-2, and it's a system that I played in as a player. I went, you know, at Wigan for a large part of my career, so I knew the system, and it worked well for us the final day of the season. The 4-4-2, 4-3-3, 4-5-1, you look at them all, it's really about personnel and how hard they're willing to work within the system.
There's been talk going about that you would like the dugouts moved over to this side of the stand of the pitch. What's your thoughts behind that? Well,
I mean, the most important thing, I suppose, a few things. You know, really, it's about a new start and change. You know, so I want to put my stamp on the way things that are going. Really, I also want to direct my time out on to that pitch. And sometimes you find whenever you're looking over and you're seeing other things going on, you know, it's trying to direct all the time and energy onto those players and onto the pitch, and that's the most important thing for me.
And there's been a complaint for the past while about lack of communication between club, team and fans. Is that something you want to see improve, and how do you think it will be improved?
It's definitely something you would like to see improved. You know, really, the players need to understand that, you know, the supporters are there every week, and I think the vast majority of supporters, as long as they see honesty and an honest shift in, you know, they don't ask for much more than that. But you know, but I think the players this year understand that. You know, they know that. So it's a matter really of getting that dialogue and making sure that even after games that there's some sort of you know, some sort of meeting place that supporters are able to meet up with players as well.
How would you define success this season?
Yeah, I mean, success, it's because of the constraints that have been put on, really. You know, it's a hard one, that. Certainly the most important thing is that we stay in this league. You know, that's the most important thing. After that, you know, we just need to get as many points on the board as quickly as we can, and then see where it takes us from there. So as I said earlier, you know, the short-term, medium and long-term goals, they'll be spoken about to the players before Saturday. But I do think, looking at what we have there, that, you know, we have enough there if we have the fight within, you know, cup games, that we can cause problems to teams. You know, we certainly have a lot of lads with experience there. So the most important thing really is be competitive in the league, and when it comes to the cup games, and especially, you know, the bigger cup games, that we see ourselves as having a genuine chance.
Okay, on to our last portion now. So we have asked the fans to submit questions to yourself over the Facebook page, Twitter page and the fans forum. So I'm going to read out a few of them with the username as well. The first one is from the Portdown forum, from RNCC. Is there anything we as fans can do to help lift and motivate the team?
No, I think really just to support them, you know, especially in the early stages where, you know, you've got a new group of players as well. So remember that they're still bonding as players, and that they probably don't know each other's strengths and weaknesses. So keeping on top of that and making sure that they support them in those early stages, as well as that, it's just. I wouldn't say there'd be much more than that. Just support. Yeah. Because really we as players, you rely on that as well. You don't want to hear negative comments, and it's not to say. I think most supporters, if they see genuine effort, then most of them don't go far wrong with that. There's always the one that no matter what you do, will not be right, but that's all part and parcel of the game.
Next question then is also from the forum from POBM. Will you be weighing players and giving them weight standards?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've already did that over pre-season. Now we haven't since we did the initial weights, we haven't went back to that, but we will be doing that. We also did some other sports science based tests, just speed tests and things like that. So there's something that we'll be re-evaluating every sort of 4 to 6 weeks to make sure that they're they're up to standard. That said, as I've said before, when you've healthy competition, you should be pushing each other on anyway. So whilst I see a place for statistics, I think players should be pushing each other on, and management should be pushing them on anyway.
Okay. Next question then is from the Twitter page, from @GJ_England. Can you ask Pat if he really thinks we can stay up with the point deduction and only able to sign amateurs?
Yes, no doubt that we have enough in our squad to stay up. It's about setting goals. It's about making sure that maybe the teams in and around us that we are winning the games against those. But I look at the group of players, and yes, there's been movement from over the summer, and a lot of lads that maybe with big reputations, but reputations don't always count for everything. And when we have players maybe in who aren't household names, they're willing to put a big shift in, and that means a lot whenever you've got a willing team.
Next question then is from the forum, from Red Dog. Do you intend to address the first team's abysmal disciplinary record?
Yeah, I mean, that's important. That happened last year, and it has to be addressed. The game has changed, and really, you now have to stand on your feet. So it's important that while we harass and harry, that we don't go into the challenges that we're just not going to win. But again, sometimes what happens out of frustration, and sometimes if you have one player working but 2 or 3 not working so hard, that frustration from that player comes out. So if we have players working all over the pitch, they shouldn't expect the same things to happen.
Next question then is also from the fans forum, from Retroport. Will you be a tracksuit or a shirt and tie manager on match days?
On match days, normally I would turn up in shirt and tie, and then when it comes to the game, get into my tracksuit. I still would like to think that I'm young enough that I can stick a tracksuit and a pair of football boots on. I can't manage to get out and play anymore, but I can certainly stick a tracksuit on.
The next question is from the Facebook page, from Matthew Russell. What has been the most challenging role since taking over?
Really rebuilding the group. With the ins and outs, and also the ambiguity and the not knowing whether players are staying or going. As in the case of Chris Casement over the last week or two. It does make it difficult, really. Because you have certain plans to be making in terms of team selection, even for pre-season games. So that would be the most difficult part of it. But we have managed to get a good competitive group there.
Next page, the next question is from the Twitter page, from @CitizenDaveNI. Obviously, with the Nacho Novo signing at Glentoran, is there any truth to the rumour that you're close to signing Ali McCoist on a 1-year deal?
No, I can confirm that will not be happening.
Next question is from the forum, from Turn Up Man. Local referees, are they up to standard?
I don't want to go down the route of complaining about referees too much. So, it's a very difficult job that they have to do. in a game situation, especially towards the end of the season, where trying to pick up points, you know, it was very difficult, and then, you know, that's where the frustrations come out. And sometimes when decisions are made that, you know, as a player, as an ex-player, you can see that it's, you know, it's a poor decision. Then that's difficult to take. But we're all aware, you know, none of us are, you know, are devoid of making mistakes. We all can make them. So really, it's a job that I wouldn't be taking on. That's what we got.
He's also asked another question, so from Tournament as well. What is the worst rule in football? Sorry, the worst rule in football.
The worst rule in football. You see, as a defender, as an ex-defender, you know, taking the tackle away from the game, especially a genuine tackle. I mean, I always remember, you know, when I was playing at United, Ryan Giggs was a tremendous, you know, tackler of the ball, in that he wrapped his leg round players and slid, and then won the ball back and just went away with the ball. But you're not even almost able to do that if you're coming from behind now, you know, so that's difficult. I would just like to see it. I don't want it to come to a stage where the game is non-contact, because I think it would take away that enjoyment even from supporters as well, you know, because as much as, you know, supporters want to see good football, maybe see a good goal, we also want to see lads who are honest in a tackle as well. I think sometimes that actually gets supporters as excited as you know, a great finish.
Yeah. Next one then from the Portadown Fans Forum, from Ports Fan 08. Will you be taking the Middlesbrough Cup seriously?
When I was at Newry, you know, I always took every game that I played seriously. You know, I always made sure that every player, regardless of whether I used the squad or not, I made sure that every game that we went into, we wanted to win the game. You know, I mean, I think that's it's very important to have that mentality. You know, there are clubs that maybe, you know, they don't take an interest in certain things. I want to win every game. You know, it's not going to happen, but I'll be taking the Middlesbrough Cup seriously, definitely.
And the last question then is from the Fans Forum, from Gary Mack. Set pieces were rubbish last season. Do we train for these now?
Yeah, we'll certainly be doing set pieces. We haven't did an awful lot to date, but again, the problem that you have when you have your new players coming in, you know, so you're trying to find out their strengths and weaknesses as well. Sometimes, especially set pieces, depending on if you're talking about, you know, direct free kicks, they are things that are honed through the players themselves, going out and maybe practicing within groups of 2 or 3 as well. You know, so we can do so much. When I was at Newry City, you know, even the players that I had a really good, honest group, and a lot of leaders there, and even from defensively, you know, lads knew who they had to pick up, but because they were winners, they went and attacked the ball. It wasn't something that we worked, you know, night on night on. You know, we were really, it was up to the players to take responsibility within set pieces, and, you know, whether it be corners, free kicks. So I think they need to take a certain amount of responsibility within that.